Welcome to Nina&Moretti'sTable. Table. This is a place where we gather to remember, to honor, and to keep the light of faith burning. I am Moretti Collins, and I am your host. As you are aware, this podcast was born out of love for my late wife, Dr.Nina Collins, whose life touched so many and whose legacy continues to speak even now. Today at this table, we are not just remembering who Nina was. We are exploring what she left behind. So we have a community of women that are bound together by prayer, faith, and the kind of friendship that doesn't fade when someone leaves or when someone dies. Today, I'm honored to welcome a friend, a member, a part of the prayer team that is going to walk us through just her own life experiences and her experience with Nina, someone whose own journey of faith and resilience has so much to teach us. In our last episode, we talked about the legacy of faith, how grief and hope can walk hand in hand. Today, we are even going to go deeper. We are going to hear from our guest, her own story. We learn how friendship was formed and discover what it looks like to hold on to God when grief threatens to put us under. Thank you for opening your heart to sharing your story with us today. Tell us a little about yourself, who you are, what brings you joy, and what role faith play in your life.
So my name is Massa Rennie. I live in Minnesota. Live in Pennsylvania for most of my life since I've been in the States. I got married and I moved to Minnesota. I got connected with Nina back in 2004. I've connected with Nina for a very long time. I dated Nina cousin briefly. That I think God is connecting me to Nina more to bring me closer to God. Nina have been Nina and I share her auntie, my godmother who passed away, and the late Auntie Duetti. Nina and I helped take care of Auntie Duetti when she was sick and she passed on. So Nina and I connected through that, and we were in each other's circles for so long. And Nina was one of those sisters who, even when I drifted away and I went far, she found a way to find her way back to me to just make sure I was okay. And it's funny you talk about Nina's table. It's almost like a pulling back to let's have a talk. Where are you? Where's life happening? That was such a Nina thing to do. Such a strong listener. Disconnected. Like, can I explain our bond? It was just a Nina and Massa. And it's funny thing about Nina. Nina had people that say where she connected with. So it was like, I think it was a special gift. You would be with Nina. You would think you're the only one that she loved because of the way you will the intimacy she would bring to the relationship would make you feel like you were the only person in the room with her. And I think she had that quality with so many other people as well. It was just a gift for her. And so her and I connected back then, and she was always more focused on my life with God. She was always like pushing me, always like, girl, we gotta live for the Lord. And anything she was doing, she found a way to include me. Even when I was far away and I didn't feel close to her at times, she felt close to me still. She never, like, maybe I'm in my mind, I felt like, oh, Nina's doing her thing. I'm here. But I was always Nina's sister. I was always Nina's sister. I never stopped being Nina's sister because I was distant. Even when I got married, I think she was so happy because she knows my history. It was such a highlighted time for her, and she was like, you're in the right place now. I don't have to check on you as much as I do. When I met Nina always played her role as my sister friend. We're very close in age. She's probably a month or two. But Nina carries such a role as a big sister in a way that it had nothing to do with age. It had to do with the maturity in the Lord that she knew how to bring people together, and she stood firm in her beliefs. No matter how you put it, Nina stood firm in it, and Nina wanted that for everyone.
Thank you for sharing that. I know you talk about how you first met, but I want you to take us back to the moment where you first met Nina. Where were you, if you can remember, and what do you remember about that day?
Oh my God. So I met Nina, my grandmother. We were in Philadelphia. We're in Darby. She came to my Auntie Duette who passed away house. And Auntie Duette was still sick. And I remember her and her cousin was like, oh, I'm dating this girl, and we just briefly talked, and Nina was like, don't mind that pussy, man. I know who you be with. She was so blunt and so forward. They get her good gay. I like her business, and she was so like just funny, like the funny Nina. And I can get a little shy when I first meet people. So I'm like, oh, that girl got energy. Her energy was so beautiful, so loud, so welcoming. And I remember we ended up. She was like, oh, I was like, Nina, what are you doing in Derby? She said, my auntie's wedding lives back here. I said, what auntie's wedding? She said, right beyond your house. I said, that's my auntie's wedding. We both got in a car. We went to auntie's wedding because she wasn't what she said. Oh, all my daughters here. And she was so happy to see us and just be by her side. So that was my first moment meeting Nina and having like just that experience. And I remember even that first time meeting her, and I seen week she invited me to meet her grandmother because she met my grandmother that day. It was such a beautiful. Nina has such big energy. Even though I have a big energy, it takes a while to come out, and I gotta get really comfortable. Nina, it was so welcoming, and she felt so safe. She asked a lot of questions, and she wanted to know a lot of things.
Or what was something uniquely Nina about the way she showed up in your friendship, a quality or habit that was unmistakably hers?
Nina showing up in our friendship. I think Nina really started showing up in our friendship. Nina have always shown up, but I think specifically I got married. Nina and I had similar story in terms of family dynamic. So she will always be the shoulder to run to in parenting style. Like, Nina, I'm going through this with Michaela, and she will always have the greatest advice of listening. Master, you need to listen to her. You need to be firm in discipline, but you also need to be doing it with love and affection. Hear her wants and her needs. Guide me. And I think it just brought us closer in a way where we dealt with in terms of parenting style and the love that grew there for our daughters. She always said, God gave me this child because he knew I really needed her. For a while there in the first stages of my marriage, I didn't understand what Nina was saying, and then I got it. And this closeness that I have with my daughter now that she too had with Ruby, it just was what really kept us stronger when I needed somewhere to go, and understanding of that side of parenting. Nina really showed up for me in a way that I can't describe. Even in my marriage, I remember I came to her with a particular personal thing, and she said, do your part and let your husband do the part that he knows how to do it. If I made a mistake, don't make my mistake. Do it this way so that it's better. She was always looking for the good to come out of it. And I think that really kept our heart close up to the time Nina departed. Nina really, really helped me in that. She
Okay.
did. She helped me.
Thank you for sharing. Take your time. I know this is going to be emotional, but we will get through this. So, my next question is: was there a conversation or exchange with Nina that shifted something in you? Maybe change how you saw yourself, how you saw God, or your purpose?
Yeah. A conversation that happened with Nina and I when it came to God was holding on. Before I got married, there was a conversation I had with Nina because I think I was giving up, tired, just the same thing over and over. And I remember Nina not judging where I stood with that, but she prayed with me that day. God has something bigger for you, and I know the kind of heart you have. He's not just going to give you anyone, and it looks like you've been forgotten about, but how can God forget about you? And I remember her consistently praying with me that I think moving forward to where we're at now and being married and then joining the prayer wife and having access to this group of women who pours into each other, pray over each other. When I told Nina that I was with child, I remember the excitement. What is happening? You just got married, now you're with child. There was so much excitement because she's prayed with me so much and really guided me through my faith in how to hold on to God promises for my life and truly believe it and know that whatever God says he's going to do, he will do. And I think for me, those are the little things for me that really impacted our journey of faith and the consistency of praying every Saturday morning and not missing it. Whether Nina felt well, whether Nina did not, other with the exception of school or needing to be at class, Nina would show up in a space for prayer. And Nina had this thing where after prayer, she could pick up on if you are okay or not, and she would make a personal phone call to you after that prayer section. Just she just knew, and she would just talk to you and just listen. Nina was so strong in listening to you. She would let you just go on, and she would listen. When you're done, you would think Nina took pen and paper to jot down answers, but she knew exactly what to say. It was such a gift, or what to say in that moment to get you back in a place that you just trusted God and trusted who He was, even when you seemed like your faith was lacking a little.
That's exactly who she was. So, if you had to describe Dina's laugh, her presence in the room, or the way she made you feel seen, how will you paint that picture for us?
Let me paint a picture of Nina laughing. I think we even have a picture we shared during the memorial service when Nina lay on the floor after eating something that one of our sister cooked. I'm laughing because Nina have no shame. Nina said Nina was in the middle of advising somebody, and Nina put the rice in front of her with a spoon and everything, and laughing. She laughed so loud and bringing tears to my eyes because if you haven't experienced Nina in her fullness, you don't even understand what I'm saying. Like, you'll be sitting there so serious, and Nina will be telling you something serious, crying, eating, laughing all at the same time. You're like, Nina, how can you do all at the same time? You're telling something sad to Nina crying. Nina personality was just so beautiful. Like, I can't remember if I ever in my life knowing Nina got mad at Nina for something, because you didn't have room to. You had more room to laugh with Nina than you had for anything else. Because Nina would find a way for you to laugh for the situation. And she was so jovious. Like, Nina made fun out of everything. She was so focused on you receiving joy in the moment of your hurt that you would forget the reason you even call her, because you would really just laugh. And her laugh was so big and infectious.
So, what did Nina teach without ever sitting you down to teach you? What did you learn just by watching her live?
Nina was not a big on explaining if she was going through tough times. Nina was not big on just blabbing. Nina was just more on praying and finding solution. Nina was very private, but in a good way. Because some people take privacy as secrecy. Nina was private in the way she respected herself, in the way she respected her home, the way she respected her marriage, the way she respected her children. She carried herself in a way that was warm. So when I think about those things, kind of follow a little bit in that footstep, not quite like her, but kind of in that footsteps. Like, I want to be quiet about some things happening in my life, and I want to be private about those things as well. Um, because when you keep certain things to yourself, especially when it's precious to you, you guide it, you protect it, and God allows those things to grow and blossom into something beautiful. And I think that's what Nina was doing with what she had. She loved everyone, she showed up for everyone, but she knew how to set boundaries, and she was respected for that. Those were some of the qualities in who she was as a wife, as a mother, as an educator. People knew about her genuine spirit. And Nina brought God into everything she did. Just going places and bringing God. Just doing things like that. I remember someone that's close to Nina, I can think of it off the top of my head, said to know Nina is to know God. And it makes me think, if someone were to say, I know Master, do they know, when they see me, am I an example of who God is in his reflection? And am I reflecting who God is at all times? And Nina lived her life for Christ. When you met her, you knew it immediately because that's who she was. And I think those qualities are some of the qualities, I too have picked up from her over the years, that I stand 10 toes on and said she lived for God. That's just what she did. She lived her life for Christ. There was no gray area. It was either black or white. But at the end of the day, she knew she was choosing the side, and the side that represented God at all times.
Right.
And those qualities in Nina is definitely some of the qualities I try my best to walk in.
Okay. Thank you so much. For the first part, we talk about Nina and your friendship and your togetherness. So now we are going to shift into talking a little about prayer, about community, and about spiritual life. The goal for This is to keep the flame alive for Nina, but most importantly, to touch life so that people that are struggling with their spiritual walk with God, struggling with a loss of a loved one, grief, or something, it could be just a bad situation in their life, loss of a job, or something that negatively impacts their life. We hope that by just sitting here at this table or listening to what we have to say will help to change them. For me, my experience in dealing with grief, I realized that there's a lot of emptiness in people getting help from this society, help from just everyone else. And that is very important why we process grief differently and we move at different levels. The pace is not the same. We have one thing that we need in common, and that's just that support. Support to make us happy again, support to make us see life differently and to live again. We want people to just come here, listen, and then know that they are not alone, they are not walking alone. We are here to provide support and to direct them to the right support that they need, because every time we have issues, the support is not the same. As dealing with a loss is different from dealing with maybe a crisis in your life or dealing with family and friends or heartbreak, for example. Start with talking about the prayer group. So what does the prayer group mean to you personally, and how has being part of it shaped your walk with God?
Wow, the prayer group for me and why it's important is because the prayer group was came together because they were women who were married, going through everyday life experience and need a group of sisters that they could pray with, um, and just have a place that's safe to talk, where we know that that place is our own secret place. Like, you have to be a part of the group to just know certain things and be exposed to certain things and really be vulnerable. What I love about the prayer group and why the prayer group has always been important to me is because they were created as a safe space. It's a group of women that come together when you're struggling, not just when you're happy. These are women that will come together when someone passed, to put their hands around you. They pray with you. They come together to show up in ways that they can be there for you and your family. And I mean, show up as a group. That was the only place we openly talk safe. So the prayer group came with so many benefits. Praying for our children, praying for our marriages, specifically really just calling the names of our husbands on the line. Maybe there was a time someone significant other needed a job and they have lost a job, and we would take that week to fast. Like, we would really turn over our plate and say, guys, we gotta fast this person. This is gonna affect them financially, their household financially. We cannot have a sister who are going through it. And while we're fasting and praying, most of the time we come together, we do a big collection until that person get back on their feet. We give it to that person. We do so many different things within that group of 10 women. Everybody want everybody to win. The women that are in our group are really there for the right reason. Nina started this group. I was recommended by Sis BB, who is in the group. And then Nina realized that, oh my God, I haven't even brought my own sister in yet. And I remember the group saying we have to pray, because to invite someone else in, and we're all vulnerable and we're all sharing detailed and intimate things of us, we need to pray about who's coming in. And they prayed about it, and they came in and they welcomed me. I remember how pregnant they really supported me after I had the baby and show up in ways that to this day I'm just so grateful. God wanted us to be loved as a wife and having support system outside of our family. This is really our chosen family.
I know you talk about how you guys pray. Can you share a time when the prayer group prayed together and then you felt God move in a powerful or unexpected way?
We have said many prayers and for many people and for many things. We prayed for Nina the first time when she got sick. And I remember that miracle God worked, and Nina was cancer free, and we were all so happy. We really prayed. And I remember we were all so happy about the news. We prayed and we prayed, and God came through. He came through. He did what he needed to do in that season, in that time that we asked him. If I'm being honest, even in our faith, we were still a little scared because we didn't know what news were coming back, right? And we shouldn't have fear when we were praying. And the love that we have for Nina, we forgot that what God loves too, right? We forgot that God God moves when He needs to move, not us. Why is fear creeping in? Let's just continue to pray. And we took our fear and we truly stood on God's word and we really prayed over Sis Nina. Every doctor report that came, whether it was good or bad, we prayed. We didn't allow it to affect our heart and the space we were in. And God really moved and Sis Nina was healed. And I want to make this clear. Even with Sis Nina passing, it was His will to take her home. There was a healing over Sis Nina because she was coming to peace with where God had brought her. And even when we were praying for her, even as a group, there was a sense of peace we felt. And we knew that that was God giving us the peace that we needed for what was to come. And so for some people, it was tough, don't get me wrong. But for some people, it'll be like, oh, that's not peace. Though. We wanted her here. But sometimes peace comes in different form in the eyes of the Lord. And instead of Nina physically, her body physically hurting, God was like, my daughter have lived her life for me. And I just want her to come home and take her rest. So unfair because we want her here. But in the eyes of God, it's His will and not ours.
How do you see Nina's fingerprints on the way the prayer group love, praise, cares for one another even today?
Oh my God, Nina's fingerprint is still on the group because every time something happened, Nina was good at taking initiative to put things together immediately. And we're all now, when something happened with someone, we're all fighting for that place to take initiative because we all want to keep her legacy alive. And we're like, if Nina were here, y'all know this is exactly what Nina would do. In the fact that we're keeping Nina's legacy alive, we're also in this group she created, starting now to find our own voices. We always have our voice in the group, but what I mean by that, Nina's voice is no longer here physically to tell us, guys, let's do this, let's do that. So we're hearing echoes of her voice that was here with us in memories. I think a lot of the ladies are trying to implement what Nina did. So Nina is still heavily a part of it, but we're authentically bringing some new things to the table and how we move forward because the goal is not to be stuck. Nina is no longer here, and we can only love the teaching from her, but we also have to implement new things, new goals. I remember right after Nina passed, there were two women we were considering to bring in the group. We want new people and we want to grow. But it was so fresh, and I think a lot of our wounds was like, we just lost our sister. We're not ready for this. Nina's legacy will always be with us in the things we do in the group and how we hold the group. But I think we're also creating things, but still leaving Nina handprints on some of them. Some of them we just don't want to touch. It was such a Nina thing that we're not going to touch it. We're just going to let it be and let it be a part.
Let's switch transition to transformation and legacy. My next question would be if Nina were sitting with us right now, what do you think she want to say to a woman listening, especially those facing loss or hardship?
Nina was such a listener. Nina will give a hug first before she even starts talking. Let's just start from there. Knowing Nina, Nina will be holding someone's hands with double hands. The first thing she would say, it's okay. She will find a scripture that matches where you're feeling and reminding you of what God said. Um,
From my experience, I believe sometimes God use our experiences, whether good or bad, to shape, our future, to shape the way we see things, to shape the way we view things. And if we can understand our part as believers, as humans, and then use that, we will go, we approach our future with a different mindset, one that is bright and good. But most times we focus on the bad things and we are stuck in that place.
mhm.
So it impedes, our way forward. That's why we want to talk about these things because we should use it to be better. We should use it to see things differently and to make the right decisions moving forward. Like for me now, when I am speaking to someone that is bereaved, someone that just lost a child, a loved one, a relative, I am in a very better place to approach them so that they feel love because I know Sometimes as humans we try to overdo, and it's not because we foolish. We just want to extend help, and sometimes we don't know how to do it, so we approach it the way we know best. But I think experience is the best
Yes,
teacher.
teacher.
Sometimes people just need reassurance and love. They don't need you to solve the problem, or they don't need you to provide solution to the problem.
Yeah.
And in our society we often share solutions based on our own experiences. For example, if something happened and you use a certain formula to solve it, you can share that to another person. It doesn't mean it's going to work for that person. So just suggest something or say, when I experienced it, this is what I did. Now, I'm not sure whether it's going to work for you, but I'm just trying to share this with you. It's better.
And I've also, just to add to that, I've also learned that, and I have another friend sister here that taught me that when someone's talking about their pain sometimes in the moment, we tend to say, yeah, I went through that same pain, and start talking and explaining our story when that person needs to be given a chance to explain their story. That's why they brought it up. Allow them to explain their story, their pain, because in that moment it's about them coming to you. If they're not asking about your story, they came to you for you to be a listening ear to the pain. Now, while you're listening, while you have addressed that, and they're like, hey, has that something like that ever happened to you? Now they're giving you permission to share your part of your story. And I think sometimes we listen to react and we listen to comfort, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes people just want you to just hear them, whether they're venting, and we have the tendency to say, yeah, that happened to me too. Yeah, but stay focused,
Focus.
stay
Yeah.
focused on that the person is venting to you. Maybe when they're done saying it, you can then tell them, hey, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Maybe this is how you would do it. I too have experienced this. And then maybe one or two comparison, but do not interrupt in the middle of them saying it to you, and then you focus on your pain and your story. It really takes away from hearing that person and being there for them.
Yeah. So that's true. How has knowing Nina changed the way you love other people or show up for your community?
Oh wow. And Nina was a woman who just showed up for people she loved. And even people, I wouldn't say she didn't love because she loved everybody through Christ, but when I say people she loved, people close to her, people that knew her, and even those people she didn't know, she found a way to connect with them. Um, in a She just found a way to connect. I don't know how she did it, but Nina
Yes.
Nina has such personality that you would meet Nina today and think you knew Nina for years, but she carried a godly spirit with her that when she entered the room, you would know Nina was in that room. You would know. And she commands that room with prayer and everything God will come. And she was so bold about it that even if you didn't know God and it made you uncomfortable, you had no choice but to join in. Like you were never the person like, oh, I'll just sit back and Nina will find a way, a force will connect her to you and you will be a part. So I think some of those things are things that I am now learning to carry with me. That when I go places and I'm carrying a little bit of Jesus with me, that I'm making sure people know that I'm a true disciple of God. Because that's how she was. She evangelized wherever she went. And she never compromised. She
Yeah.
evangelized wherever she went. Y'all will be talking about something completely different from event. That Nina found a way, okay, to bring something in there where she will evangelize and tell you why Jesus was important in this particular moment. And
Yeah.
she just knew how to do it. Whereas some people will be like, oh, should I talk about God? Nina ain't got time to question herself. Nina didn't have time to say, should I or should I not? Either you hear it and be uncomfortable or you hear it and be uncomfortable. There was like no gray area to it. It was just what it was. So
Yeah.
those I think were some of the things when I think of Nina now and I think about who she is. When I entered the room, I entered with a little bit more grace for people. Nina was very forgiving. I almost left that part out. So I think as big as she carried her grace now, don't get me wrong, she has strong boundaries, but she was a very forgiving, kind woman. And even in all your flaws, Nina was a true sister in Christ. Flaws and all, Nina saw you. Nina always made sure to not make you feel less than or not make you feel like you were never connected to her. You always felt connected to Nina. Didn't matter what friendship she had with who or whatever. Nina always made you feel connected to her and her spirit, and that was just who Nina was. She had
Hmm.
her boundaries, but she was very loving, very kind, very welcoming. Some of those qualities I saw in Nina, I do my best to carry with me, while still being true to my own self and who I am. But those were the positive things that I know that stood out to me about her that I wanted to implement in my everyday life, or at least try to implement, because we're human, we fall short of God glories every day. But those were the things that I think I really, really liked and I took from her.
We are now going to shift on hope and moving forward.
Mhm.
So, my first question would be, when you think about the impact one faithful life can have, what does Nina's story reveal about God's faithfulness? Nina.
Oh, when I think about Nina's story and God's faithfulness, I think about how much God loves us. Nina had a faith that was strong. Even in sickness, Nina was strong. I remember Nina went to visit my grandmother. It was her sky. Nina was sick that day because they met with Sis Orisa. And I remember everybody was like, Nina, you need to go home. Nina, I need to go to grandma and I need to go pray with her. Even in sickness, Nina was still doing the Lord's work. She never stopped. Sickness was not an excuse to stop. It was, I know I'm sick. I know I'm weak. I know I need to be in bed resting. I know all these things, but I need to go do God's work. She was compassionate, still thinking about others, still wanting prayers for other people. And when I think about her life and I think about the warrior she was for the kingdom of God, Nina was a true warrior for God's kingdom. She held on to God's word as a weapon to use to attack her enemies. She used the word of God to bring them closer. She walked truly in that her discipline was unmatched. Inner discipline was unmatched. Because I know so many people right now, if we were sick, we wouldn't even get up to go to work. Ina was getting up to go evangelize wherever she go. And I still have the picture of her in the hospital doing a video with grandma and just praying over grandma and telling grandma it will be well and for grandma to be still well now. Not all the way, but like still here. Someone who visited and she has departed and grandma's still here and
Yeah,
um the moment is different for me.
it is. I remember it was her and Sky. She found a way to talk to one of the nurses at the hospital, and then they did the recording
And
there.
I didn't know she would go in there that day. I didn't know. And Nina just sent me a video. Grandma said hi. And I'm like, Nina, what are you doing over there? You're not well. And she was like, girl, I had to go see grandma. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a friendship. It was a sisterhood. Nina was my girl.
Yeah. Since you are talking about that and friendship, maybe this is the best time for you to answer this. And if you could leave listeners with one truth about friendship, about faith, or the power of showing up for each other, especially in hard seasons, what would it be?
Show up for your friends. Even when it's like, oh, I'm okay. Show up. Show up for your friends the way you have shown up for them from the first day you met them to when God says otherwise. Show up in love, even when you're angry. Correct them in love. Show up with a forgiving spirit, a forgiving heart. We are all from different walks of life, and we need a little bit more love. Some people grew up in a household where love was a thing, and some people grew up where they never even got hugs, and some people grew up where friendship is is their family. Their friends are their family. Their friends are really their chosen family. Uh, Nina was my chosen family. Nina will always be my chosen family. Nina taught me friendship when it was hot, when it was really high, and when it was really low. There were no criticism. Nina had a way to bring God in to kind of balance you back, to bring you back to your balance. She didn't stop being your friend because she didn't like something about you, or distant herself because you weren't living up to her expectations, or made you feel a way internally. Nina just loved you because it was you. And if she knew you needed to be corrected, Nina found a way to do it without making you feel insecure or ashamed. So I
Yeah.
think when it comes to friendship, when our friends are at a low, we should learn how to wrap our hands around them and pray for them. And there are people who will allow you in, wrap your arms around them. Be there for your friends and be there for them, because that's what a good friend will do. There were times Nina showed up for me more than I showed up for her. And I think sometimes we do a take for tag. You show up for me, I show up for you. And it's like, that's not friendship, because there'll be a time I might be really in a high and I need to show up for you in your low. And there are times you'll be in your high and I might be in my low, but we need to find a balance in how we're showing up in friendship. And I think Nina really showed how to show up in friendship.
Yeah, that's it's something that we all learn over time. Know how to show up for people, show up for your friends, or even people that are not friendly with you, even strangers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
As you know, this podcast is about faith, hope, and love. So we are going to shift a little bit, and it's going to be a little personal or maybe something emotional. But I hope
Mm.
we can talk about our last few questions. So, Massa, beyond just losing Nina, has there been another season of loss or heartbreak
Oh,
in your
let's
life
talk.
that tested your faith? And
Yes.
I'd like you to share what
Oh,
that was for you.
grandfather broke me.
Oh,
I remember Nina was at the funeral at that time. Oh, I lost my grandfather. I am the first grandchild for him. And my grandfather loved me in a way that was so precious to me. So it was so unexpected. He had called me a few times, and like many of us, we get a call. Oh, I'll get back to the person, you like my grandmom is bothering me or my grandpa is bothering me. I will call them. And a month prior to that, I know he called me. I never got back to him. And when I called him, he didn't answer. And a month later, that following month, I remember hearing my grandfather ate breakfast and he told my aunt that he was a little tired, a little weak, and he just wanted to lay down. And that was it. I never got to say goodbye. I never got to tell my grandfather how much I love him. He would always call me my wife because I'm named after my grandmother. He always say my wife. So we'll laugh about that. That was the first time death shook me in a way that I was so broken and scattered because of how close I was to him when I did my traditional Liberian wedding, African wedding. My grandfather planned the whole thing because I knew nothing about the traditional weddings and how they break cola and thing. And I think it was it was just so interesting. I remember he sat on the bed with me during that time. The week of the wedding, he said, you're my wife, but I'm giving you to somebody else. And I didn't even know this was going to be the last conversation in depth I will have with him. And I remember he said, Mama, I giving you to somebody else. My wife, I giving you to somebody else. When I call you and I say my wife, you must still say my husband. I know you will be in the main house. And he was so jovious like that, but so quiet at the same time saying it. But those are the little things. He was like, my wife, I'm happy for you. Um, he was just a funny grandfather who would just say things like that. And then he just had advice for me. So losing my grandfather after that, I was really broken. People who were close to me experienced that with me. The women from the prayer group, Nina, Sis BB, and all of them. Other sisters here in Minnesota, um, they were just really there for me. Sis Joselle, who's in New York, just these ladies. I was so broken. Sis Karen, Sis Princess. It was just a couple of people who, like, just was there. They really was just there for me. Um, and I think going into Nina, I'm not gonna say it prepared me, but I'm glad it happened with grandpa because I don't know if I would have been able to handle this grief with Nina like I'm handling it now. Because the way that death shook me, I never knew people could be hurt to the point where they feel that their life, your whole soul left your body. I
Yeah.
That was the first time with my grandfather I experienced that. I never knew death could make you feel like the person dead, but you were feeling like your soul left your body, like everything in me felt empty. I was one of the last people that left the graveside. I literally saw them put the thing down as the casket was going down, and I think my cousin Egna and someone else, they were like, we have to go, you can't do this to yourself. My grandpa is gone. I would never have grandpa. And a few months prior to that, Maya was learning how to walk. She wasn't walking and she's still crawling, and he said, but why this girl 9 months almost, 10 months she walking. And I went to the store. I wasn't even there, but I have a video. And he taught her how to walk. In that same day, she spent the evening with him and my aunt. And I came back. Everybody was like, Grandpa made sure Maya walked today. She walked. My grandpa really just prepared me for grief to come. Like, you're never prepared, but I think it was the first time I dealt with a big loss that
Yeah.
it shaped how I would show up for this time that I'm grieving Nina. And if you even notice, I haven't even had the strength to even change my profile picture because I feel like I won't see Nina if I change it. And I think for a year I did that with my grandfather. After a year, I was like, you have to change it, and I haven't. I was like, I'm gonna wait a whole year.
Yeah, it's difficult, and everyone is different. Like I spoke with BB this past week, and she said when the call comes in through the prayer group, the Saturday morning prayer, she
Nina,
she struggled with answering because she feels she's not going to hear Nina's voice, and
it's
Nina is
true.
not part of it. So she says it's a struggle for her. So
And
yeah,
it doesn't feel the same if we're being honest, because you
yeah,
lost a member.
yeah,
It doesn't feel the same.
yeah. So
We're moving forward, but yeah,
it's a lot of different struggles, but
yeah,
we sometimes have one experience and then we are in a place where, because people pass away in my family, I have friends that pass away. But honestly, I never really understood how deep it was, the way it affects your heart, your
yeah,
mind, and the
yeah,
way you do things. So I had to learn quickly that you should be able to find a means to navigate. And then illness over time, I've learned a lot about dealing with the health system here in the United States and also just prioritizing your health. Stress affects our immune system. We become vulnerable. It could be from a loss and grieving. Stress level is high. It's something we have to learn how to deal with. You can grieve, but try to deal with stress and grief. Sometimes people want to take their own life. They're withdrawn, and it also affects the relationship with people around them. They don't show love to their kids. They're isolating
yeah,
themselves. You have to find that balance. That's why we want to talk about it here, because the more people hear about these things, then they realize, oh yeah, I know I can still grieve, but show up for my children. I can still grieve, but show up because I have to live. I have to do things, I have to be there. Like Nina is gone, but the kids are here. She want me now to be there for them. She want me to do, everything she wanted them to achieve, everything she wanted them to accomplish. She'll be like, Moretti, you should now step in and do that. I'm grieving but not controlling my stress and then just withdrawn, self-isolating. We're not going to achieve that. So you have to
yeah,
learn the balance between that. Is difficult. We are not wired the same, but we have to. That's why you have to think positively, try to walk in the right direction. So there's a
yeah.
difference between dealing with that and also moving forward, because a lot of time people think that if you try to move forward then you have this cross certificate for your loved one. No, it's not that we don't love them, but we have to look at other aspects of our life and to be there for people, ourselves or our children. A lot of people struggle with finding help, when they go through difficult times in their
That's
life,
true.
bereavement. So we have to tell them, so that's why we're here to tell them that you are not alone. You can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, firstly, you have to stay strong for yourself, put the broken pieces together, and then you can walk towards a direction where there's light at the end of the tunnel. So I just want to ask, I know you talk about your grandpa, but in that difficult season, what were the things, whether I know prayer might be one of it, or people or practices, or even small moments, but
Yeah.
what helped you in that time dealing with the loss of your grandfather?
My community.
Yeah.
I think having community that is positive. I have the prayer wife. I have sisters here in Minnesota. Very close. All my close friends have people literally like family. My husband, who was with me through everything, even showing up for Nina's funeral, making sure we were okay. Like he's like, I have to be here. He prayed for you so much. It's like I don't even know if I can handle what he's about to handle. I would like literally be done with the funeral, take my children, and we'll be going somewhere because he's like, I don't even know how Moetti is putting himself together because, he could see the power and the love that you share for Nina and him. And I think having community of people who sees you and sees the pain, and part of the reason my husband respected that because he knew the kind of respect I have for Nina and the kind of respect I have for the people that meant something to me, and he had to be a part of that and be a part of just everything. And a few times they talk, and when we pray with her and pray over her, it meant a lot to her and it meant a lot to him. That we were at the birthday celebration. We were, like we showing up and it was like, this is somewhere the whole family needs to be. And let's go. My community show up for me. My sisters who turn to family, who are my chosen family, show up. And I think we in the prayer wives just kept each other close. We held each other hands. Gracie, BB, Abby, Sis Orison, myself, Favor, like Sis Small, Sis Ade, like all of us held each other. And we were just on the line when we could be. If you could join the call, if you're already at work, you join. If you came back and you wanted to make a call and say, hey, what were you girls talking about? You would get catch up on. I mean, the community was great. Even people at church supported me. Um, some of my closest friends, sisters here who know me, love me, and have loved me, they were really just here. I have a sister here who people at church were even telling her have my same birthday because they were like, they thought she knew Nina as well. And she was like, oh, I'm just supporting my sister, because that's what she do. And I always tell her she's another person that reminds me so much about Nina. So we were talking about that and people were telling her have my sympathy at church. And, I have another friend that live 8 minutes from me who people will see, oh, we heard Massa bereaved. And they will even tell her we're praying for her. So because of how much I love Nina, they were able to kind of like fall into that alignment, and it's almost like domino effects. It's like it's
Yeah,
affecting you. I'm connected to you in that way, so I feel the pain for you,
for
and
you.
everybody else was like, oh, my sympathy. Having this community of women and men, because there were brothers who reached out to me and said, are you okay? I was really so broken. I couldn't process for days. I couldn't process this grief. I was numb, and it wasn't I was cold. It was just like even now. I think I have gotten to a good space where I'm telling, if I'm honestly being telling you where I've processed this or accepted it or have come to
Yeah,
terms with it.
with
I have
it.
cried about it, but I don't know if I have released. I have released Nina to a way that and just let her be at peace. I'm still in that 1 year phrase, so I can only imagine for you and the girls.
Yeah, it is difficult.
Yeah.
I know for me, Nina will want me to be strong for the girls and move forward and just getting support. So I was part of a group where we were 5 or 6 families that experienced loss, and it was all like family where you have people that were married. When I sat there and just everybody had to share the story, and just sometimes when you listen to other people's story, then you reflect on your own, and then
Yeah.
You get maybe strength and courage to be in a place where you can live through your pain, and then you can also try to support other people. And I know I talk about even questioning God by the end of the day sometimes it's different the way we have our own faith and belief systems. But for me specifically, and I know you can say that as well as Christians, we have that foundation, and our foundation is Christ. So
Yeah.
last week I talked about Jesus in the Beatitude when he talked about uh, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. So there's some level of comfort that we get from leaning on Jesus, leaning on Him. But with all of that, we still have moments where we question our faith, we question God, and God is okay with us questioning Him. So whether He's trying to use our moments to question Him, and then because if you have questions, then you're going to seek more for
Yeah.
answers, right? So that sometimes questioning God can create a deeper relationship with Him and understanding, and then realize that it's not like time frame in a sense. Whether it's 6 months, is 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. This is something that's going to be forever.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes people assume that after a certain period, then you forget. So it's just all about just finding peace with yourself and then moving
Yeah.
forward. For me, my goal is to just try to do everything that Nina wanted to be done. Forging ahead, she was sick, and she always felt that God was going to heal her, and she looked at everything in that direction.
That last part that you said, that she believed that God would heal her, and I think that what kept some of us holding on. Nina has such strong faith in that God will heal her, and I think when we think of healing, sometimes we don't think death could be a part of healing. Um, and it's such a sensitive topic to people, and that's where when we talk about questioning God, it's not questioning and telling Him why would you do this or why did you, it's more like, God, this is a woman that served you till, like, in awe, like she served you, you know, was there something she didn't do that you refused to keep her here? I think the question is from a different standpoint. It's not a question to say, God, you demand to give us answer because you weren't supposed. That's not the kind of questions we're talking about. When we think about questions like this, we're like, Lord, this woman did all the work you were doing. Was there anything we could have done differently to keep her? And God just remind us, like, remember, I will call you home too. There'll come a time I'll call you home. She did what she came to do, and even doing those two, yes, she has a family, yes, she has children, yes, she has all these things, but she accomplished the very thing I called her to do. Not the other worldly things of accomplishing school. Not saying those things are not important. They are important here on earth. But the thing that God wanted her to do was to evangelize and bring people to Christ. And that is what Nina did. And when she fulfilled God's promises, what in all of that, God said it was time for her to rest. You went, you did what I called you to do, and you did it for years. And for some people, they're still here because maybe they didn't start early, and God said you haven't accomplished your purpose. Everybody have a reason they're here, and once those things are accomplished, it's when God called you home. And I feel like God called Nina home. It wasn't the time we would have liked for her to leave, and I think that's when we're like, God, but you took her. We wanted her here for this and that reason. And God's like, I understand your reasoning because you're a human. I give you these very feelings and emotions for you to be able to communicate with me. But now I'm telling you to trust my will, that it was time for her to go get her rest. So I think when we think about questions in that way, when we say we're questioning God, that makes more sense, because I think people really get that confused. Oh, we can't question God. Like, there's certain questions you can ask Him. There's certain
Hmm.
things you can ask Him. He says, "Seek me." He says,
Yeah,
"Seek me with all your heart," and you're coming clean, whether you're brokenhearted or not. He comfort the brokenhearted. And if I'm broken, I need to go to Him. Father
yeah,
God, I'm broken. You took away something valuable from me. Was I not deserving of it?
yeah.
Why would you take it? And so I think proposing those questions in such a way to God, He hears you and He gives you comfort, because the word again said, God will comfort the brokenhearted.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it provided so much in-depth explanation.
Yeah.
a few questions left. How have you experienced God's love through other people during your hardest times? Maybe talk about who showed up for you in a way that reflected Christ's heart, and how
Mm.
did that impact your healing process?
Just to go a little bit away from just Nina for a second. Just I've grieved a place of depression. I've grieved a place of loss for other things. I've grieved my relationship with my mother. Um, I've grieved just different types of relationships, whether it be friendships or people hurting me, or I sometimes grieve in silence.
Hmm.
Even when I'm hurt and I know that someone's hurting me, I take those, and that's something I'm learning to speak up. I can grieve in silence. I can know something's happening, read a room, and just grieve in silence. So I've grieved different things in different ways. So I think for me, grief just show up in different ways and different things depending on what it is. And what I have learned is that I need to speak up more when I'm in a space of grieving. I need to find support in the right places so I'm able to release those things and free my spirit, because I'm one of those people who carry things internally. I don't really say much.
Yeah, yeah. You talk
Most
about
mistakes I create.
yeah, you talk
Hmm.
about in different ways, and one of the things that I personally like to talk about is dealing with toxic people in our lives. And I say this because over time dealing with Nina illness, I read a lot of articles and just, people with, for example, cancer, different kinds of cancer, and the research and studies and trials and clinical trials that were done. You talk about grieving a lot of different things, different aspects, but we sometimes are unable to just draw a line, especially as Christians. We want to forgive, we want to love, but just to draw that line between dealing with people that are very toxic and
Hmm.
the toxicity impact our overall health. So maybe that toxic relationship brings a lot of stress to us, and then we think we okay, or we are trying to forgive the person, or we pray about it and we think God is going to transform that person. Sometimes people do change, but some people are just going to remain toxic forever.
Yeah.
And if we cannot identify that that toxicity is impacting us, our health, increasing our stress level, and we might think it's ordinary, but those little things turn around and it hurt us. So
I
the,
agree.
the toxicity cause stress, and then your body is vulnerable. You get sick. Even when you are going through the healing process, it still manifests because you're dealing with that toxicity. So it's something that I want a lot of people to think about. If you have a relationship or anything that is toxic, my thing is, I'll say it could be a relationship, it could be your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your spouse. God wants us to be happy. So if you identify that something is toxic for you, you have to find a way to transform it or to
I'll
get
get
rid
rid
of
of it.
it. If your job is causing you stress, find another job. If your daily life, something your routine is causing you stress, try to change it or at least find a way to manage it.
Wow. You gotta be mindful of who you're around. Does it suit you in this season? How is it benefiting you keeping that around? And sometimes people are not used to disconnecting. Let's be honest, sometimes we know we're the one draining other people. We call them all the time with our problems. We want them to be our fixer. No one can be your fixer except God. Do the work and heal yourself. And I think this year I came to a place where I'm like, Lord, I have to trust you and trust in you alone. Uh, is and as much as I have a community of people that love me and want to be there for me, I know they're there, and it's good to know that they're there. But I also want to be the person who, if something's wrong with me, I'm going to get the help I need instead of burdening other people and causing them stress and not allowing other people to bring that stress into my space. So if I get to a place that maybe I can't help you anymore, maybe I've been a help to you, or I've been someone who's put themselves in position to help you, and then the thing is just a repeated cycle. I now know it's time for me to remove myself because this is not okay for my mental space. It's not okay for my health. I need a break. Not because I don't love you, not because I don't want to be there for you, not because I don't care for you, not because I don't wish you well.
Yeah, that it doesn't stop love because sometimes people don't understand that you can still love someone from afar, but
Hmm.
if that love relationship or that relationship is like hurting you because of the toxicity that you are receiving from the other end, then just show love from afar. We have to just take our time to understand, just know where the stress is coming from, what's causing the stress, and then we work our way around and dealing with the stress. So you can cut it off, or you find a mechanism that will help you manage it positively so that you don't have a lot of stress. Masa, thank you so much for taking up the time. Thank you for your honesty, your wisdom, and for letting us into your story. We know what you shared today about your friendship with Nina, about Nina, and just the ladies and the prayer group, what you share about your faith, about love that endures. It's a gift. And I know it's going to touch the hearts of a lot of people that are listening, or people that are going to listen to this podcast. And to everyone that's tuning in, whether you are grieving, whether you are searching, or simply trying to find hope in a difficult season, I hope you
Hmm.
heard something today that reminded you that you are not alone. Actually,
Yeah.
we have a lot of support, and we just want to create awareness so that people that are in a position of support can provide support for people that
Yeah.
need it, or for you to also reach out for support when you need it. God is near, and that the people we love, the ones who shaped us and pointed us towards God, they're still with us and in ways that matter most. So
Yeah.
know that you are not alone. We have support, and if you need to share your story, if you need to say something, reach out to us. We can have a conversation. If today's conversation stirs something in you, I love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, your memories, or your own story of faith and friendship. So let's keep this table open and this community growing. And if you've been blessed by the podcast, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe, leave a review, and help us continue Nina's legacy. So with one conversation at a time, one prayer at a time, one act of love at a time, we can change lives. We can impact people, and then we just want them to know that they're not alone. So until next time, may you walk in faith, hold on to hope, and know that you are loved deeply. And once again, this is the Nina and Moretti's Table. Thank you for joining us in Massa. It was a pleasure having you.
It was a pleasure.
I love to talk to you again. Reach out.
Yes. Reach out again. I'm always here, however way. Yes.
Yeah.
This was amazing. Thank you for putting this together. As we grieve, Regina King said it best. Grief is a thing that has nowhere to go. It's there, but we're here. We're here praying, and we're praying for each other heart.
Yeah. All right. Talk to
All
you soon.
right, bye.
Bye.